Hi folks, how's it going? It's Sean Mack here from Pro Wrestling Weekly Podcast with another video, keeping our theme of extreme with a new show. So tomorrow night, the 3rd December, I had the privilege and the pleasure of going to the Mick Foley 40 Years of Foley show in the Laughter Lounge. I'll be hearing the man and I'll be seeing the man, meeting him, shaking his hand, probably getting this book here signed. His Mick Foley book, The Mankind Have a Nice Day book, probably the best wrestling biography of all time. But in the past few days, as we've been leading up to this, I've been getting incredibly excited and reminiscing about my favourite Mick Foley memories, because Mick Foley is one of my favourite wrestlers of all time, one of the best hardcore wrestlers of all time. So it made me think, what are 5 moments of Mick Foley's career that stand out to me? And I'm going to share them with you today. Now, obviously, I'm only condensing this to 5. There are so many more that I could say. So if there's any here that you agree with, or some maybe that I've missed, and don't worry, I am bound to miss some, make sure to let me know in the comments down below. We're very responsive here in the upper tier. We respond to most comments, and I would love to have a conversation, because Mick Foley's had such a legendary career. Picking just 5 moments out was a lot harder than I would have liked it to have been. But anyway, let's get straight into the list with number 1. Now, unfortunately, being the age I am and being born when I was, I didn't get to experience the Attitude Era. I missed it by a couple of years. So I really got my first exposure to it all when I was playing WB 13. There was a showcase mode in that basically built on the Attitude Era, its most popular moments and iconic moments that are still remembered very fondly today by some, I can imagine. And for Mick Foley, one that comes to my mind right away was on Raw, when Hunter Hearst Helmsley, who was Triple H, it might be hard to tell if you're a younger viewer, that's the guy running the company now, and I'd argue he's not much better. No, wasn't much better then. But he was feuding with Mick Foley, and he wasn't sure who he was going to be facing. So there's a segment on screen where Mankind and Dude Love were in the same room talking to each other. Really cool piece of filmmaking how they got that. And the thing is, they were teasing Mankind would love to face Triple H and put him through the worst pain in the world, but there was someone else who could do things that not even he could. Cactus Jack. And when it was revealed that it was Cactus Jack, the pop was absolutely huge. And the chants of ECW were just flooding the place, and Triple H, to his credit, sold it incredibly well. He sold it like it was the apocalypse, and quite frankly, when that mad bastard from Truth or Consequences, New Mexico, is coming towards you with a trash can and everything else, I would be too. There's also a great call by Jim Ross when the music plays. He says, and I quote, "Drastic times call for drastic measures, and when you have a man who has wrestled in barbed wire, on beds of nails, and set himself on fire, it will be a day in Central Park." You know, Jim Ross, I feel, is as essential to the Attitude Era and its moments like this as anyone. And Cactus Jack got a great response. He had a really good hardcore match with Triple H, absolutely dominated him. And there was many, many more moments to come. Now, speaking of Triple H and Cactus Jack, it's very difficult for me to think of the big matches, the big title matches that Foley had in his time in the Attitude Era without thinking of his match, the street fight for the WWE title at the Royal Rumble 2000 against Triple H. Now, this is a brutal match because it was a street fight. So obviously you would think this is right up Cactus Jack's alley, and it was, but Triple H wasn't afraid to get his hands dirty. And there's a very iconic spot in this, which is the finish of the match. Mr. McMahon told them, no thumbtacks, I don't want to see thumbtacks out there. And then very secretly, between Foley and between Triple H, they got thumbtacks. So the finish of this match, Triple H pedigrees Mick Foley onto the thumbtacks. Yes, you heard that right. Mick Foley, a pedigree where you take a front bump where you land on your face and your belly and the front of your legs. He took that onto thumbtacks. I am not kidding you. And obviously you can imagine the danger there. These are tiny little sharp things. Your forehead's here, your eyes, your chest, your genitals, your legs, all that. What was Foley's anecdote? What was his way of getting through it? He said, I could lose an eye, but think of the pop. Mick Foley, take care of yourself, please, we love you. You didn't have to do this. How he didn't get the eye damage, or how he didn't get any part of him damaged, really, as far as I know, is incredible. So it's very hard to think of the worst bumps that he took without having that in there. Now, I realise I am talking a lot about Mick Foley's pain tolerance. He is absolutely famed for that and should be revered for that. But one thing Mick Foley was also a master of was his promo. And there's a couple that I could have chose from, but being an ECW fan, it's very hard for me to look past anything but the Kane Dewey promo. So this was during Cactus Jack's stint in ECW. He looked out into the crowd and saw that someone had made a sign that said Kane Dewey. Dewey is his child, who at the time was 3 or 4 years old. And Cactus Jack cut this promo talking about how sick the ECW fans were and how they tore everything away from him. Basically, he was giving his body and his soul to people who didn't appreciate it and didn't deserve it. And he was talking about Tommy Dreamer a lot in this. In fact, the promo was half directed at the fan who made the sign and Tommy Dreamer. Tommy Dreamer didn't actually do anything, but he was the innovator of violence. He was everything the fans wanted Cactus Jack to be. So a lot of that vitriol and venom was spat towards him. It's so intense. I mean, Cactus Jack was always a psychopath, always a bit loose and a bit bent. But there was just something about this. It had so much venom and so much hostility and so much disappointment, you know? The thing is, the fan who made the sign actually showed it to Mick Foley and he was okay with it. But then Mick Foley's wife saw the sign and did not share the same contentness with it. She was very disgusted, totally sick to her stomach about it. But it's rare in wrestling, or maybe ever, you'll find a promo this raw and this venomous. And the fact that it was backstage in ECW, you know, it didn't have a huge audience, it didn't have great lighting, it didn't have the best audio quality. It felt really raw and to the point. The production was really less is more, and it's an absolutely incredible promo to go back and watch. Now, right back to the horrible, uncomfortable, blunt force trauma that we love Mrs. Foley's Baby Boy for. This is a match with The Rock that happened at the Royal Rumble 1999, so 1 year before that Triple H match that we mentioned. And this was Mankind facing this time, not Cactus Jack. There was a point in this match where The Rock went off script. So Mankind had his hands handcuffed behind his back, and The Rock kept hitting him again and again and again and again and again and again and again, you get the point, with a steel chair. Because Foley was handcuffed, he couldn't protect himself, so he was taking all these chair shots directly to the head. And The Rock went off script and hit him way more than he should have. And look, I do love a good chair shot to the head as much as the next guy. I mean, big ECW fan. It's about as common as a headlock, but it's one of these things where I don't mind it being as outlawed as it is today. When people say, oh, but it's fun, like it doesn't do damage, you think of the CTE that it causes, you think of what we now know about brain damage. And honestly, just showing them a clip from this match, it is absolutely horrendous. And with Mick Foley, there's bumps that he takes that are incredible. But there's some where you think, man, this is so sick, but you really didn't have to do that. I really don't think Mick Foley had to do this. And I think shame on The Rock for going overboard with it. I'm amazed that Mick Foley hasn't suffered any lasting damage from this, but it is an incredibly tough moment to watch, but it just shows you that Foley is God and he has the pain tolerance of it. Now, my final moment, I mean, I would probably, you know, be ashamed of myself if I was to do this video and not mention this. I feel I don't even need to give it much introduction, but I will anyway. Hell in a Cell. You hear those words, you don't know. I haven't even told you the show, I haven't even told you who was wrestling, I haven't even told you what happened. I know right away in your head you remember what happened. This happened at King of the Ring 1998, where again Mankind faced The Undertaker in a Hell in a Cell match. Now Mankind was the first one to come out, and typically in Hell in a Cell what they do is they start the match in the ring. They get in the cage and they're in the ring. And occasionally it will go outside the cage. But this time, Mankind got at the cage, went to the outside the cage, and climbed all the way to the top. So, you know, you can probably, if you haven't, obviously, if you don't know what happens here, you can probably imagine it's not going to be good. And then The Undertaker comes out, and The Undertaker joins Mankind up there. He climbs the cage. So this match starts with the two men on top of Hell in a Cell, and they brawl for a little bit, and then poor Mick Foley, my God. Undertaker throws him off of the cell onto the announce table down below. And this is iconic because obviously that bump, but also Jim Ross's call, good God Almighty, that killed him. As God is my witness, he is broken in half. And that is made even more special because Jim Ross, crucially, was not told that was going to happen. So that was a very genuine, raw reaction from Jim Ross. And somehow, it wasn't the worst thing that happened to Mick Foley in that match. He was thrown off the cell, and he was stretchered out. Well, he tried to be stretchered out. As they were halfway up the ramp, like a zombie, like the undead, he gets up and goes back in there, and he gets thrown through the top. There used to be a trapdoor on top of the cell. Again, I don't know what it's for, other than people fall through. He falls through that, and also in the match, he ends up splitting his lip so badly that he sticks his tongue through the hole, and he ends up with teeth like pushed all the way up there. I mean, Jesus Christ, Mick Foley, please just take care of yourself. But this is an absolutely incredible match, because I feel this made Mick Foley a household name. It really, I mean, people who'd watched ECW beforehand knew this, but some fans, obviously, in the WWF hadn't been watching ECW. It really showed how tolerant Mick Foley was to pain. It really showed the risks he's willing to take, the things he's willing to do to his own body. And it made an absolutely iconic moment that all this time later is still reminisced about, still brought up, still showed in video packages. And it's very hard to think of anything else when you think of Mick Foley. So that's it. Those are my 5 Mick Foley moments. This was a really fun video to make, but a very difficult one to make as well. Mick Foley is an absolute legend, and I think it's a genuine miracle how he is alive, and he's happy, and he's well, and he's healthy, and he's doing his own thing. He has a podcast. He's going on tour, as I said. We'll be seeing him tomorrow. And it's amazing how he has left such an incredible legacy. I wanted to say so much more. There's so many more moments I could have picked. I could have picked the death matches with Terry Funk. I could have chosen him winning the ECW titles with Mikey Whipwreck. I could have picked him and Terry Funk beating Public Enemy in ECW, and then all the fans started throwing their chairs into the ring, burying Public Enemy. Like, I could have gone on, but I can only condense this down to 5. Obviously, if there's any moments like those I mentioned, or any other moments that I've missed, please do let me know in the comments down below. If you want more shows like this, let me know. Apparently, I have to do it according to head office, but if the fans like them, I will do them. And if you have any other suggestions for a show you want me or anyone else to do, then please let us know. I do have a couple more ECW shows in the pipeline that I would like to do, considering doing people who were in ECW, who you probably didn't know were in ECW. I think that could be a fun video, or if you want a show review or anything. Guys, we're a blank canvas. Just throw ideas at us and we will do something. But that is it for me. Thank you so much if you've made it this far in this video. If you are enjoying the channel, make sure to subscribe and like and leave a nice comment with your Mick Foley moments, but also compliment me. I dressed up for this. Look, I got the flannel shirt and I got the Foley shirt. So, you know, if that alone, if you're not going to subscribe for anything else, I put in the effort for the outfit. At least do that. But anyway, guys, make sure to like and subscribe. I've been Sean Mack from the Pro Wrestling Weekly Podcast, giving you my 5 Mick Foley moments, and I'll see you all soon.